What is going on, everybody? And in this video, I'll be taking a look at the recent Summer Award vehicle, the Ford F-150 SVT Raptor from Outer Space Edition. This thing looks absolutely insane. When I was actually using it in the recent summit, I was kind of excited to see what it can actually do and how the dually is actually going to affect this thing's handling. So jumping right in to the customization here, which is going to be very limited because normally these summit vehicles are, unless it was a Performante, which I think that was the only one that actually had a ton of customization to it. Nonetheless, though, what else can you actually do this thing with a really big UFO thing in the back with a gas tank back there and a shovel? It honestly looks pretty awesome, and I really do like how they actually did the fitment with the tires and all that because it actually looks good. Sometimes with wide fenders and all that, or how they, set these vehicles up, they don't really look that good. Has a nice winch on the front there. I'm probably going to keep this thing white as well. I like how it looks like that. You can put on a livery and stuff like that if you guys would want, or change the actual color if you guys aren't feeling the white color on there. You can put red or yellow or something. Anything pretty much like that would probably look pretty cool on here. But to be honest, I'll probably leave it stock because, well, this thing looks pretty crazy. From the looks of it in this, though, the interior looks pretty normal to me. I don't really see much of a difference. I don't know why I'm zooming in on that. The interior looks pretty normal to me. I don't really see anything crazy different in there. It looks like a normal Raptor interior there. Moving over to the vanity, I want to show this as well. So if you guys want to put a tire on this, aka customized tires, you guys will notice that the back tire is one big tire, which honestly looks really weird, but I don't think I'm going to do that. But nonetheless, so if you guys put any of these on, you'll see that they're all basically just one tire. For me, I'm going to pretty much leave these stock, though, because I really do like having the dually in the back. Pretty much the only truck in the game that's like this, and it's cool to see, honestly. Now, when I was looking at this, I was really wondering how it's going to do in its handling, because when I was testing it out in that main race in the summit there, I noticed it was a little weird sometimes with its turning on how it was actually going around turns and all that, so I'm going to be testing that out in this video in a race. Probably do the one race I normally test these vehicles out in, which is the Highland race there, because, well, there's a lot of turns, jumps, and all that, trees that you can easily run into. Anyway, let's go do an outside look and then take this thing for a top speed run, because I want to see what it can actually get to and see if it's actually competitive versus some of the other best rally raid vehicles in the game. Then let's take it into a rally raid race and see how it performs in there. So for the top speed run on the new SVT Raptor, I figured I'd come to a random highway to test it out here. So here is the outside look of this truck. I gotta admit, it looks pretty awesome with how the actual UFO piece is back there and strapped in. You can see the little tailgate coming down there because, it doesn't actually fit in the bed. Then the fitment of the tires look really nice, as I mentioned before, with the dually. If you guys want to put a tire upgrade on there, I'm not really sure how this thing would look with one big tire in the back like that. Kind of weird. Nonetheless, though, I gotta admit it does look pretty awesome. And then going into the interior, I do not believe anything was actually changed in the interior unless I'm tripping. I don't think there's anything different about the interior in this truck compared to the other ones. So now let's go do a top speed run because, well, I want to see what this truck can actually get to compared to some of the other ones, like the new Hummer that was also in the past. I think does like 178. Obviously the SVT Raptor in first unit, that thing has a really crazy top speed. So I noticed a lot of these rally raid vehicles can accelerate to like 145-ish or so, 148, something like that, and then they start to struggle a tad afterwards. So this thing's accelerating a little bit more, 155. I'm going to hit the nitrous on this straightaway here. Let's see what this thing can get to. 176, 177, pretty much destroying your nitrous though. So I'd say like 175 or so. 174 probably be the best top speed in this. I'm actually going to yeet myself into this area here. Take this truck really where it actually belongs here. 175 is really impressive though, I got to admit that. Actually having a top speed like that could be, well, competitive for pretty much any of the races. If you guys want to use this in like a summit or something, it could actually probably do it. Now the big question is, how does it actually handle? So I'm gonna take this thing into a race in a second and really see how it does. Let's drive it here for a second though. Jumping seems pretty nice. Stability is actually pretty good there. Wow. I know bumps and stuff like that can sometimes affect the vehicle in a very negative way. Sometimes trucks that are a little bigger, better suspension, they actually do a lot better, like the Hummer for example does a lot better with that. So I'm actually gonna jump into the race right now. So far it's actually seeming pretty dang good off-road, and well, this thing looks pretty awesome doing it as well. I figured I would take this truck into the high-speed drifter rally raid race because it has like a nice mix of, well, terrain, trees, water, basically a bunch of things you could run into or mess up on depending on what the vehicle actually is with its overall handling and acceleration for that matter. So I have to admit, when driving this thing in the summit recently, I was kind of wondering how it was going to be testing out in that race. I know that race was kind of on the harder side compared to other ones we definitely do on here, especially this race is pretty easy compared to that one. And this truck handled it pretty well. I noticed going around some of the turns, you definitely have to be a little careful with it. Probably the truck being a dually was probably the main reason why the handling was affected there. I have a pretty dang good build on this thing as well, and I'd say it's handling a lot better than it initially was in that race, which is definitely good. Now, I know many people are probably wondering, how is the overall speed on this truck? Well, I have to admit, it's faster than I thought it was going to be. I thought this thing was going to be kind of slow or kind of weird to drive, and honestly, it's actually pretty dang quick, and this thing can get up to speed pretty fast. It doesn't really struggle too much. Sometimes terrain, I notice, affects the rally raid vehicles in a really weird way, and like depending on the bumps and all, they go faster or slower, or like they just don't accelerate correctly in some areas. And well, this truck definitely seems to not be affected by that as much as other ones I've tested. Probably the more tires and all that on it might be helping a little bit with handling, but nonetheless, though, I have to say it's decent overall, especially compared to the one everyone was testing out. I try not to judge these vehicles too much in the summits when they're in there normally, because sometimes they're just not that good, and that car, I knew that was going to happen right there. Nonetheless, though, I feel like that's not a great way to actually test them out, because, you know, they have really weird builds on them and all that, but I definitely recommend trying the build out I have on this truck, guys. You definitely will like it, and overall, I have to say, it could probably be used in summits and stuff in competitive racing. I don't think this truck's bad in any way. It definitely looks pretty awesome with the UFO being in the back, and well, being a dually for that matter. I'm interested to see what they're going to do in the next season as well in this game. I know a lot of people are wanting like the Crew 3 and all that, but that's a whole different video. Regardless, I have to admit, guys, definitely try out the Outer Space Edition if you have it. This truck's pretty awesome, and I gotta admit, seeing a dually is pretty cool in the game, so I do like them, and well, they did a good job designing this one with the fitment of the tires, the overall look. The interior probably could add more detail, but the outside is awesome with the UFO in the back. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll be showing you guys my settings right now. And here are the settings I'm running on my Ford F-150 SVT Raptor from outer space.